Oh, there we go.
You got it.
All right.
Being recorded.
Now, how I'm going to transfer this, that'll be the secret. Okay, sorry for the delay. Thanks for tuning in. Our demo artist today is Lenn Goldmann, and he's going to do a demonstration or a slideshow of his watercolors and his process. And I'm going to let Lenn tell you a little bit more about where and how he does that and hand it over to you. Go ahead, Lenn.
Oh, thanks, Jolene. Um, well, I started watercoloring outside when I was 25 years old, and I was going to graduate school in Florence, Italy. And my professor says, "Well, I'd like you to paint one painting a day outside." Back then, I had no idea the term in plein air just wasn't part of my vocabulary. We swear we're going to go paint outside today. So I did that traveling light with a really simple watercolor kit, and I just jump on a bus, in the afternoon after art history class in the morning and take off to some little small town and paint all afternoon. And so, that was my introduction to watercoloring. And I since then, that was a long time ago. That was 50 years ago. I've painted in oils and acrylics, and I guess it's been about at least 25 or 30 years. I went back to watercoloring again, mainly because it was so simple and neat and
Immediate.
yeah, convenient and light, and so I'm been at it again doing landscapes of my three favorite areas are along the coast in Monterey Bay, and then up here in Chico are the bluffs and canyons that are really part of the uh, Sierra Cascades. And then the other third one is the High Sierra, spanning across from Mount Lassen to Lake Tahoe to Yosemite. So those are my three favorite haunts, and my three favorite artists are Franz Bischoff, who settled in Carmel uh, uh, around about 1906 after the San Francisco earthquake, and was started one of the fellows and gals that started the California Impressionist movement. And I just really like the way he paints. I'll show you my influence from him. Uh, the second fellow is Maynard Dixon,
Hmm.
who was from San Francisco and painted the West. You take off to Utah and out, and uh, he's my influence for the North State here of all the canyons and big sky vistas.
Wasn't he a cowboy, the cowboy artist? One of the cow.
Yeah, cowboy artist. Uh huh. Yeah, he always wore cowboy boots and a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
I don't know if he knew how to ride a horse or not. I don't know. But yeah, he was. I'm sure he did. I was just joking. And so the third fellow would be Dale Laytonen, and I spent a couple of years with Dale, and he taught me quite a bit about uh, painting outside and mixing colors and really, visually learning how to see. Uh, so those are my three influences. So today I want to show you a slideshow of about 45 paintings, starting from the coast and coming inland up here, and and then we'll take off up to the high country to Lake Tahoe, and then eventually land in um, Yosemite. And so we're going to start out. I paint in series of paintings. I'll do 9 or 10 paintings in a series, and I learned that from my daughter, who paints everything in series. So I started doing that myself, and I find that really helps a lot to um, several things anyway. And with that,
You find the first one you paint is way different than the last one you paint.
yeah, most definitely. The last one is more fluid, and you'll see a lot more abstract. So in these series here, the three different places, you'll see that the first ones are more realistic, and the last ones are very abstract.
And
And
when you're painting plein air, you told me before that you don't usually draw much on you draw direct, you paint direct.
yeah, you don't really, to me, you don't have time to draw outside. Why not just start painting? And I'll show you the tools that I use to paint with. And they're Chinese hair brushes, and so they got a really nice fine point. They're calligraphy brushes. So basically, you're starting out drawing with those calligraphy brushes right on your watercolor paper. So give me a second, and we'll start our show.
You bet.
Okay, here we go. Here, here, here. Presents. Can everyone see that?
No, did you share the screen?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. That's what I missed. I'm going to go back. My bad.
It's okay. It's a learning curve.
Definitely. Here we go. Share.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
Well, let's see. I'm gonna
Go
share
to
this.
present, and I'll go present. Is that showing up now correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good. Well, this will also give you an idea how I present my paintings. So it's a matter of necessity for me. I needed something that cost less and was lighter. So I gave up on the glass and the mat board thing, and basically what I have here, these are smaller paintings. You know, they're 9 by 12 at the biggest, and I take the watercolor paper and glue it to a piece of lightweight plywood, interior grade plywood, and then uh, I'm going to do a video of this. It'll probably be out in 2 weeks, and I can share it with you.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
excited about that. Do you put the paper down before you paint or after?
I used to put it down before I painted, but I found that I don't have, if I come up with a loser painting, then I'm not wasting all
Right.
the effort or time to glue it down. So I wait until last when I have some good paintings that I like. Yeah.
Do you fix it before you put the glue on it or no?
No, I'll fix it after I glue it down.
Oh,
Yeah. I guess I do that so it doesn't curl as much.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see that video. I'm excited to try that myself, working in watercolor.
Yeah. And then the really lightweight white poplar frame around the edge definitely gives it a contemporary look again. And the frames are 2.5 inches thick, so they can stand up on a table or in a bookcase. So they have a three-dimensional look to them.
Nice.
These are some of the tools of the trade here that we were talking about a moment ago. Um, Simple and light. I can pack all these in my old fly fishing vest and take off for the day, and that's it.
And you use 300-pound paper all the time?
No, not all the time. For practicing and having fun. I think that piece there is a 140
Right.
cold press arches, but I prefer arches cold press over everything else.
Does
Uh-huh.
a 300-pound react better to being glued down than the 140?
Yeah, I can do a small size in 140, but not any bigger than 8 by 10, and
Okay.
sun comes unmanageable. But 300 works all the way up to a full sheet. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is my first influence. This is a painting of mine, but I very much like Franz Bischoff and the fellow we were talking about a couple moments ago. And this is painting down in. I like hanging around Point Lobos. It's a to me, it's there's nothing like it. It's just a very special place. And between the water and the Monterey cypress and the geology, uh, the limestone um, uplifts that you know occur and go all the way up to the top of the Santa Cruz Mountains and the Los Padres Range, and they vary in color all the way down, dark browns and gray. But for some reason, around Monterey and Carmel, they're this really pretty crystalline. I think it's because of the crystal quartz that's in the limestone itself that gives it that pretty uh, ochre color.
And you were saying that's why that reflects, then the white beaches, that limestone is why that reflection gets that the colors different from other beach areas.
Yeah, we'll take a look here in a second. They'll show up. Yes, the refraction of the crystal quartz underwater that makes it so uh, turquoise
Yeah.
and all the different color blues. These are two surf spots on the north end of Monterey Bay. Everyone knows where Steamer Lane is in Santa Cruz, and the next one north is Shark Fin Cove, uh, which is lesser known, but I think a lot of people stay away from it because of the name.
Your stylized clouds, is that any reflection of your influenced artists or just
Uh,
your?
Probably so. Probably Maynard Dixon. He was a big sky cloud artist. Yeah, and I think we're influenced by just about everyone. We finally,
You
uh,
grab pieces as you go of everybody else around you. Yeah.
we simplify it down to our own liking. So these very simplistic skyscapes. But what's also interesting around Monterey Bay is the atmosphere and what goes on with all the um, particulate matter in the air called fog, and so we get this magical kind of mysterious and moody uh, uh, kind of drama, I guess you might call it, and it's just a fun I really like it's kind of dreamy,
Yeah.
and especially when the mist is in the trees, and so we get that atmospheric perspective that takes us off into the distance and dissipates uh,
And
pretty
the
rapidly.
Sunset Beach one with the dunes are so beautiful. And you said that you're not using the white of the paper necessarily on the dunes. It's just sort of the
Yeah, I think the only white left on the paper was maybe up in that skyscape, and I had to come back and modify. Then so I'll call it when I have to come back with gesso and titanium white mixed together, and we'll have to call it water media at that point instead of just a true transparent watercolor like the one on the left.
Mhm.
You got to do what you got to do to be successful at just completing your painting, whatever it takes.
Well, and you said that the watercolor societies are not. I think somebody told me there's only one that watercolor society that in their shows has to be completely just watercolor.
Transparent. I think there's a transparent watercolor society, where you can't even use titanium white. You have to use the white of the paper. But pretty much all the other ones, the National Watercolor Association, uh, you can even use collage.
Oh.
So they've really opened it up,
Do
and
they
they
consider gesso watercolor?
yeah, gesso's fine. Uh-huh. And you don't have to frame behind glass anymore.
Oh,
So they've really they're coming
paint.
around to the 21st century finally.
Finally.
Yeah. So this is my favorite haunt, Pajaro Dunes.
Oh yeah.
And the one on the right is painted off our porch, looking north across the bay. And you might take a look close in the middle there. I decided it'd be a good idea to take that CAD red and just push it right onto the paper there. So you can see the red dot in the middle. Uh, it's almost like in caustic painting, I suppose, huh?
Oh, just because thick paint.
Yeah, thick paint. Yeah. Uh-huh. So that's what goes on there.
And you have
There's
aerial perspective on the other one.
Yeah, and I don't own an airplane, so it's out of my head. And I really, really like aerial perspectives. I just think they're fun. They're kind of neat. Uh, they're small. They're on the Arches pads, and I think they're 10 by 14. So here, yeah, we were just talking a moment ago about the limestone and the crystal quartz that's in that limestone, and it decomposes, down into the valleys and then down into the water. And so we get that neat refraction off the bottom of the water and get those wonderful greens and blues and, ultramarines. Yeah. So once again, though, I like the one on the right where you're looking way down you're looking at your toes, right beyond your toes, looking
Yeah.
straight down. And that's a vanishing
Oh,
point.
that China Cove.
China Cove, yes, You got to get there early in the morning on a weekday, about 9 o'clock. The path isn't very wide; it's about 4 feet wide, so you got to really hug against the whatever they are, ropes
Oh,
or
to set
whatever.
up your equipment.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
everyone, and be done by about 11 when everyone starts to
Before
show up.
somebody comes by.
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah. So this will give you an idea of painting in a series here. And it seems like the paint content and is continually the same. This is hot off the press, to call it. It's probably about 2 months old. Uh-huh. And again, that it's that water and that aerial view, looking straight down, and then looking off into the distance. I think is quite cool. And that's we gotta thank that to the camera. Artists have really depended upon the camera obscura for the last 500 years. That was invented in Italy, in probably Florence, I think, and it really helped us focus and be able to see what we were looking at a lot better. Before it was, originally it was just a black box with a little hole, on one end you put your eye up against and look out, and it had a square shape on the other side. So it kind of eliminated a lot of uh, extraneous um,
Light.
going on. Yeah.
So when you do this, you paint direct and you start with a lighter color and work your way to your through your values.
Yeah. So I'll start out with two colors. I'll start out with a cool cobalt blue, since it's so transparent, and I'll actually draw all the shapes out. I'll draw all the rocks and the wave action in cobalt, and you can't even tell where the cobalt lines are. And then reverse on the other warm side, I'll use yellow ochre, and I'll draw everything that's on the warm end of the scale. And then I'll start, you know, introducing what's in between. Like the green is a mix of, uh, yellows and blues together. So then we get a third color going, and kind of work that way. So basically two complements, and the two complements we can make a really pretty mud color out of that also. So we get some of the muddy, a little bit of the muddy purples, kind of what's going down on the bottom, and slide from ochres into burnt sienna. Play.
For such a limited palette, there is a lot of detail still, and light value that you play with that really shows the scene, and you definitely know those are the cliffs and the beach. And I think we forget that we don't need to use all the paint on our palette.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And what's so cool is you only have a limited time, and I don't really finish them out there either, maybe 75%, 80%.
So do you photograph the area and then come home and look again, or just work
No,
from?
I don't bring a camera. It's too much to carry, you know. I think that um, I just start painting on the spot and uh, and go with that. So, I'd rather paint out of my head at this point when I get back into the studio, and I'll show you some studio works here in a moment
Okay.
that represent. And this is one of them. So, we've had these wild surf events for the last 2 years down
Yeah.
there. Surf's like 25 feet high off the coast, and it's just unapproachable. The parks are closed, and so this is where I have to, you know, pretty much know the geology and the topography of the landscape, and then use my imagination, let's say, and create these waves and increase them tenfold.
Yeah. That king surf was just crazy, taking out the roads and
Yeah, yeah.
houses and yeah,
Oh, yeah. Breaching the dunes and
yeah,
taking piers out. Mother Nature always wins.
yeah, yeah. I
This
think
also,
these waves that you out of your imagination, I just are stunning that it in this I love the simplicity, but it's almost like a flame, but it's you definitely know, oh, that's a big wave. And
yeah, I got a friend that bought this painting. He goes, Len, he goes, it looks really real. And he thinks about it for a minute. He goes, well, but it's not. And, and then he thinks about it. I can hear his mind rolling along. He goes, but it really is. So he's kind of
it's the
personalized.
inertia and the force, yes.
It's kind of, I guess you'd call it magic realism and a little bit of surrealism.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
and I just love the clouds. I just think the clouds are wonderful.
yeah, they're not realistic at all.
No,
Especially this one. Looks like it's latex.
well, from my perspective, I am being trained by in the way that I was and painted with the same woman for 10 years and then I've painted with other artists, but you kind of get your base layer, right? And in my back of my mind, it's like my mother going, "Don't do that. That's not how you do it. You got to do it another way." How did you let go of that? Because I know that you went to school and learned all the, they force fed you realism and all that stuff.
Yeah. All my professors were uh, abstract expressionists.
Oh,
They went
they
they
were,
went
of
to school
course.
in the 50s, and they got their degrees in the late 50s, so they were still hung over, with that and uh, whole idea. And we came in, and I was in college in the late 60s, and so that's when we got tired of the whole thing. It was done, and there I think there was a saying that painting is dead. This is back in the 60s. It's all over. And so we became realists. We are photorealists, and our professors didn't like that idea at all. Once again, using the camera, obscura.
Yeah.
Either we're photorealists or, Western American realists like, Andrew Wyeth and that. And so, we kind of I think we brought the art world or painting world back to life again. There's guys like Beckdahl and those guys that paint rear ends of imperial Chryslers and stuff sitting in driveways in San
Oh,
Francisco
yeah, 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 yeah.
district. Kind of a look. Yeah. So anyway, uh, I think I'm based in realism and American realism for sure. Yeah, that way. So these are from hiking around, down the beach at the river mouth, and then up in Corralitos where the foothills take off up in Santa Cruz Mountains, and they're just painted out of my head the way I kind of think the world looks like. And it's really similar again, painting in a series. You can see this is accidental. See how common. See the horizon line is exactly the same,
Yeah.
and the peninsula out here of Santa Cruz. So
So
you
the
know,
one on the left is the number 10 and the one on the right is number 1 or 2, right?
yeah,
The first
exactly.
of the series.
Things, yeah, things get a little more abstract in the series, and so you can see here things are getting that way. Things are, and I think, and what a good part of it is these Chinese hair brushes
Oh
uh,
yeah. I've been
allow,
painting with those also.
yeah, to keep things really kind of, we'll call it open.
Yeah.
And,
Do you have a sense of what people that are buying, which end they like? Or is it just sort of
well, what people buy as far
yeah,
as
what people buy? Are they buying, do you see that they buy your ones that are more abstract or the ones that are a little bit more like the first iterations of the series?
um, most people buy the first batch that are more realistic. I think people that have had any kind of uh, art training or have, are in the humanities buy more stylized or abstract painting. Yeah. hmm But there's still a lot of people that, they want to see, a rock's a rock, and,
Right,
you
right.
know, don't fool around with
My God, how horrible.
So things are getting a little more stylized here, a little more abstract. Uh, and the introduction of introducing acrylic, especially on the two shoals right here, uh, to
With the
get,
white.
yeah, this opaque, and the white too is acrylic. Yeah.
Do you find that your colors get changed from, say, painting 1 to painting 10?
Yeah, they do that also. They stay in the same color realm. Let's say we'll call this. It looks like fall is turning into winter here. It's
Yeah,
getting late in the
yeah,
season. It looks like the days are getting shorter. So yeah, they fall that way. Not radically though,
right.
until the next series. And so things are getting pretty abstract here now towards the end of the series. And once again, the water wasn't working out. So I had to introduce Japanese handmade paper
Oh yeah, this is the collage. Yeah,
down here and this whole area is that. Then I came back, and this is gesso to get it going again. And so you can tell this is watercolor. Whoop, back in that part up there, and up here up high where the like Wilder Ranch where they plow right out to the edge.
yeah. I love this one. Yeah.
Getting a little more abstract.
Now, does this one have collage also?
This has collage also. So this is paper glued on and then gessoed over, and this is handmade paper here representing the river, let's say. And a lot of it's transparent. This is transparent.
So when you're painting over the gesso, is it a different it's a different substrate for the watercolor? Does it how do you attack that? Is it take just a while for it to absorb or sit on top longer?
It depends on the temperature, outside air temperature, or if you're
Oh,
painting the studio interior temperatures, and the clear gesso is a great glue. It's almost like Elmer's glue, but
yeah,
it is, it's just acrylic without any color in it. And so it's a great water media it's got the great, it's a good extender because it's got a great viscosity to it, and it does knit very well with watercolor, and it works really well on watercolor paper. Yeah, this is a chunk of paper here, and off in the distance, uh, that's a little strip of paper also looking off towards your end of town. So I call this the upper end of Steinbeck country, looking out towards Castroville into Monterey out here. And these sheet sizes are large, and I wish Arches still made these boards. They're 32 by 40. They're a great size to work on, but I don't know if they were having some stability problems with them, uh, kind of bowing and flexing. Um, yeah,
As this one has collage also.
yeah. This is paper collage, and then this is acrylic. This is all watercolor up here. I think this is acrylic. So go back and forth. They mate really well. So after school, I grew up down in Saratoga, Los Gatos area. We could jump in the MG and go over the top of Santa Cruz Mountains and glide down Highway 17 into Santa Cruz and hang out until dinner time and head back home and be home by dinner. But
There you go.
I
Been
like
there,
this.
done that.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. So this is kind of in memory of that ride over the hill is what we used to call it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the clouds and the surfboards and the whole feel of this one's very fun.
Yeah. It's got to be fun. So from realism to surrealism through abstractism, I guess we might say. So here we are inland, and this is a whole nother world.
Maynard Dixon influence.
Maynard Dixon influence, big sky country, uh, uh, bright, intense light, hot. It's going to be 104 at the end of the week here. The landscape is totally different. It's volcanic mud flows, and it's more like the Southwest, and it is like this from Lake Oroville about 40 miles north to Red Bluff, and
So
it's very unusual for California.
these paintings from up there are heavier on the warm side than the cool side.
Yeah, right. So I'm basically influenced by the outside temperatures and the lighting. And, um, this is this is the big valley down here. You can see the big valley or Sacramento Valley. This is north in Ishi Wilderness Country, and the Yahi Indians would live in these caves. And when you hike up to them, they're all the ceilings are all smoked out, and
Those canyon walls and rocks are beautifully done. It's I always find rocks, especially painting out here in the on the bay, they have all these lines and things in them, but it's hard to not sometimes it's just like you're outlining them or whatever, and yours are have that sculpted look. They're just lovely.
thank you. And you can see this is what goes on with eons of mud flows. There'd be one
Yeah.
mud flow and then another mud flow and another one on top of that. And then it's all the erosion that occurs. And the lava isn't like the Hawaiian lava here. It's not obsidian or glass like it's actually a mud flow with lots of sand in it and gravels and you know basalite rock and some mixture of stuff, even some limestone. Big sky country. Once again, just wide open. This is if I jump on my mountain bike I can be in this spot in about 10 minutes, and it's looking up canyon. Paradise is way back here, about 14, 15 miles back here. It was part of that park fire, not the park fire, the campfire. We've had so many fires up here.
Uh,
The park fire actually started right about here and went north for 70 miles.
how
Wow.
long ago was that?
Uh, Last summer,
Last summer. So
yeah.
what is it like up there now with trees and stuff? Are they totally gone, or is it?
The trees are burnt, and they're logging what they can, uh, and they're planting. They've planted 2.5 million trees
Oh, good.
already. Yeah, and it was green, just looked like this last spring. Just looks nice, except
Yeah.
the trees are just stubs right now. It'll take 30 years at least for them to grow back. But I'm glad that they're propagating that area.
Yeah.
The lumber companies are doing that. Hmm. If we do 180 degrees, we're looking north now up towards Red Bluff, and one on the right is this fall, and the one on the left is springtime. So two different, same view, two paintings of big sky country. Small, not very big, 10 by 12 maybe.
Oh, okay.
Again, two more up in the canyon. So, I don't paint any civilization at all. There's no asphalt or concrete. There isn't any architecture at all. There isn't any civilization or people.
Purposefully.
Yeah, purposely. There's maybe a dirt road, and that's about it. So this is as close as we're going to get to any kind of civilization.
Mhm.
I like riding my mountain bike up in the canyon up there, and I'll just lean against it and take in and absorb what this cloud's doing in the reflection of the mud puddle here, and come back and paint it the next morning. So it's not exactly, you know, 100% photographic. It's just dreamlike, we'll call it, or magic.
Well, and what great training, I mean, for your brain and your eye to not necessarily do the painting on site, but observe it like a painter instead of just admiring the scene.
And you'll notice that the landscape is different up here, and so you just memorize all these rock formations, and the trees are different up here than the cypress trees. So you memorize the shape of these oak trees and how you can see through them, and the buckbrush and such. So that's kind of the way you go about it. Um, it's more big sky country, and you can get a good idea how this geology is just rugged up here. It's uh, rough and tumble, I guess, like the last of the Wild West.
Well, the cloud structure and really that big sky, like you said, country really influences the scale of things. So it's like almost on the one on the left is half of the painting.
Half the painting,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and that really works.
yeah,
Yeah. So we've been doing that with my class, my watercolor class, and then reflecting the cloud in the water itself. So it's if you turned it sideways, a lot of them are almost book matched. You know.
yeah.
Okay, let's move along here. So, and again, Upper Park and Upper Park. It's also called Bidwell Park. It's 3,000 acres, and it's one of the largest city parks in the United States.
That's up at
It's,
Chico.
yeah, yeah, it's good size. It goes for 7 miles up Big Chico Canyon. So and this is if you were to take off and get up high and look off to the east, you'd see Mount Lassen. Lassen National Park would be about 60 miles as the crow flies due east, northeast. Yeah. So you can see that lava flow. It came down a long ways. Getting a little more abstract again in the series. Heading into rain season. And introducing, again, collage. Getting a little more abstract.
Oh, down at the bottom.
Yeah, I'll go back there for a second. Yeah. So this is Japanese paper, and it looks like that basaltic rock that's around here. And so the trees are getting really stylized. They're just flat, very flat, and they're cut out of paper. And these are painted back here. So you got to do what you got to do. Everything works out, though. Up in the high country,
Dale's area. Dale
we're
like
still we're still into where the lava flow starts. Lassen Park at the end of the day, where we get the alpenglow look. And so this is Lassen and Brokoff and Shasta off in the distance. So what goes on here is that this peak came together at a point up here millions of years ago. It was called Mount Tehama. And it blew off, it exploded and blew off and left this cauldron here in the middle. So this is Lassen Peak, and this is called Brokoff Peak here.
I never think of that this was all volcanic, and I didn't know that it had different the strata is different. The structure of the earth was different from what Hawaii.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again,
Beautiful.
kind of in the same. So you can see the the color palette has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that cauldron right here, Lassen and Brokoff. So now we're up in the range of light, we'll call it, and up in the high Sierra, the lighting is different. It's clearer, sharper. It's not as harsh.
Mm-hmm.
The geology changes again. We get the granite uplifts, so we get this kind of these domes,
Okay.
and they increase in height about 1 inch per year. So
This Tahoe area?
yeah, this is Tahoe on the west side, and this would be Emerald Bay down here where Viking's home is. So we're looking out west, and this is Eagle Creek that runs all the way down into Emerald Bay. So this is my influence from Dale Layton, and we call him the rock artist.
Yep.
This is Bliss Trail that goes around into Emerald Bay. It's a great hike. This is the deepest part of the lake right here. It's 1,000 feet deep.
In Emerald Bay?
Pardon?
In Emerald Bay?
Right outside Emerald Bay. Emerald Bay comes in and it shallows up quite a bit. But this is the deepest coming out of Emerald Bay. And this would be South Shore Crossway out there, and this would be Heavenly Valley. Mm-hmm. Again, in the series. So it's getting late fall. It's late, this is September, late part of September, and it gets pretty cold in the morning. It was a little above freezing. I think it was 34 degrees at 9 in the morning, and it feels like it. And that water feels cold.
So do you use that like Dale does that layering of colors all the time or just in certain
Well, what I really like what he does is he'll, and I do the same thing, and he taught me to do this is outlined in cobalt blue,
okay.
and then actually dump cobalt blue right off the brush into the area, and
Uh-huh.
at the same time dump in some burnt sienna, and
Yeah.
then take your board and move it around so they both blend together, and you get what we call Sierra mud out of
It
the deal.
granulates.
Yeah, it granulates right, and you can see the texture of the paper, which is so much fun. And you can do that with the trees too. Here we're taking quinacridone gold and some turquoise and some ultramarine blue, and we're just letting it by moving your board around. They flow, and you develop. There's really its own color. I don't know what you'd call that. Yeah,
Watercolor.
watercolor. Yeah,
I always tell my students
at its
watercolor
best.
likes to help you paint.
Yeah, and it's sure fun painting water with watercolor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Painting water with water. What a kick! It just
Well,
does
so
its own.
you've got a lot of hard edges on your water, so you let it dry and then put another layer on a lot of that.
Yeah, probably three uh, laminations,
Mhm.
hmm at least. And if things don't work, I'm not quite sure, but it kind of looks like gesso on top to get the reflection of what's going on somewhere in the skyscape. Yeah, bring it back.
Yeah.
Watercolor, you got to bring your whites back sometimes. Yeah, got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Well, it's a little hard to lift that, the green gets down there and it doesn't like to leave.
No, it stains pretty well. Yeah, it's a good stain color. So we're moving south down towards Yosemite, and it is all about the lighting in early morning and in the evening, and different times of the year, late fall, when we get more moisture in the air. And a friend of mine named this painting for me, Shelby Marola. She goes, "It's called Frosty Half Dome, Len. It's almost like a dessert.
Rusty after.
We should get our spoons out." Uh,
There it is. That's pretty.
um, there's this tale about an Indian maiden who her boyfriend got mad at her. He, she threw an Indian basket at him, and the gods froze her into rock, into stone. And so it's actually on the face here, it's a stain that shows this,
A
um,
figure.
this, yeah, and she's got tears coming out of her eyes. And so that shows an old Paiute Indian tale. So I had to do my best to try a shot at it. So things are getting a little more abstract. And we're introducing water media again, acrylic. And it's fun walking around up here in the top of Heavenly, especially in the summertime. And there's a lot of high lakes you can look down. You can look out into the Carson Valley beyond, and Tahoe's just straight down. It's magnificent. So what I like about showing in Yosemite National Park at the gallery there is that when someone buys a painting, the gallery asks the new owner to call the artist or get a hold of them. So one time I got a phone call from some people from South Carolina that had just come out to California for the first time, and they were hiking the PCT and came down into the village, into the gallery down here, and bought one of my paintings. And they said, "Well, you need to call the artist if you would." And they did, and it was fun talking to them on the phone and uh, telling me where they lived, and it was their first time to California. And so it's hanging over their fireplace, and it reminds
Awesome. Awesome.
them of that. I think every gallery should do that.
I think so too. I always want to know who took mine home. Why did they like it? What was it? Why?
Yeah, where is it?
Where is it? Who has it?
It's getting a little more abstract, you know, almost a little bit of cubism going on.
Yeah.
Uh, Little introduction of handmade papers. So this is watercolor up here, and we're starting to get some acrylic down through here. And then I took the tube of acrylic and just squeezed it out right onto the uh,
And
paper here. So it's almost like encaustics here. And you can see this is paper
gotcha.
here. Uh-huh. Good size sheet, that big, large sheet size of um, 32 by 40 sheet size. So here we're getting to the point where we're getting abstract, and also the collage is kind of taking over. And I bet probably 75% collage paper. These are Safeway paper bags here
Oh,
that I'll cut with a sheetrock knife to get these sharp edges. And you can see where the paper is overlaid, laminated over another layer behind,
and you
and
put
then
that down with medium, gel medium?
yeah, gel medium. Yeah, or clear gesso, and then I'll paint over the top of it. You can see this is acrylic on top, and I'm sure this is gesso here. So you know, the medium is taken over. The medium has totally changed, and things get very flat and stylized. Even the trees get stylized. The boulders.
And you just let it be. That's mostly collage on that.
That's yeah. Again, probably 75% collage. So you get to the point, you go, "Wow, what am I? Am I painting anymore? Or yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
or am I just a cut and paste artist?" You know, I
All
think I
the
better
above.
start.
All
Yeah,
of the above.
yeah. Maybe I better start just painting again. So we're
I
back.
think I think switching back and forth keeps your creativity fresh.
Yeah. Uh huh. Yeah. So this is ex- explains itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting towards the end here.
Yeah, we're almost out of time, but we're
Yeah. Here we go. So this is pretty much, this is 30 by 30 inches square, and pretty much a watercolor, but I did have to introduce some acrylic, and they have this what do you call it, it's almost fluorescent red that I had to introduce in here. It's really made it go to town.
yeah,
So
that's beautiful. I love that. It really has that snowy Sierra feel.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this saying here is by a fellow John Maxim. He's a professor at Cabrillo College. He
Yeah.
teaches painting there. I just really like this, you know. So every once in a while, I'll tell it to my students. Like I can feel it, see it, trust it. Like, oh, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to your paintbrush. You know, it's all about the brush. But uh, anyway, they get the idea. I just think it's a really neat saying. So that's it. I want to thank you for hanging in there with me and
Well,
letting me
thank you
show
for
you.
doing this, Lynn. This is it's so interesting to see things that evolve in, from that first painting to the 10th painting, or to how you add that collage to it, and the influences that, you know, are your sort of base of reference to things. And I think we all have certain artists we like, and I think we should look at them a little more, copy them, or pick up the things we like. I mean, I love Maynard Dixon's ideas of that big sky kind of feel that he does. The and you repeated, I mean, your clouds, your abstract clouds are just, I just stunning, stunning.
I always like that saying by Joni Mitchell. It's in her Court and Spark album. She goes along and says, imitate the best and the rest you just memorize. Court and Spark, 1975, I think.
Imitate the best, imitate the best.
Imitate the best and the rest you just memorize. Yeah. She used to hang out with all these jazz musicians, and a lot of her work goes from rock and roll into jazz, huh? Yeah. She's wonderful.
I have to say something. I love color. This is one of the most spectacular bodies of work I've seen in a long time. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much.
That's nice of you to say. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Super inspiring. I'm not a watercolorist, but I see I can take a bunch of these tips into my work. Just the color is amazing and the clouds are gorgeous. Thank you.
Huh. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's just got to be fun, right?
I think
And
we
it's good.
forget that.
Yeah. And it's good for your head too. Put you in a good spot.
Well, and when you're painting, do you consciously use just a limited palette, or do you, I mean,
Yeah.
because the palette is, you have warm and cool colors, and then but pretty limited, yeah.
Yeah, I'll start out, like we talked about a little earlier, but I'll have one palette that's all warm colors and then another palette that's all cold colors. So I'll start out with ochre and that cobalt, but it's almost like playing with piano or piano keys, because you'll have all the blues, in a row, and so you can just play them all out from light cobalt all the way on down. And we'll count diazine purple on the blue end, and you can see that on this
Yeah.
painting where it plays all the way down, and then on the warm end, it's playing all the way from ochre through you know, cad oranges and cad hot cad reds, and then
And
so
did you say you mix all your greens?
yeah, I mix all my greens. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, so I'll use yellow and the complement any of the blues. So in this case here, we're using a really cold. This is a cold end of green. It gets pretty warm down the bottom. You can see where the
Yeah. Yeah.
yellow's still showing up with some turquoise.
Well, excellent demo, Lynn, and thank you so much for doing it for our group. We really appreciate it. I'm going to stop the video now.
Okay, you're entirely welcome.
It was really nice. Thank you again. Thanks everybody for tuning in to our group, and we will get this off of my computer. Hopefully, I'll have to talk to our expert or call your son-in-law. All right, how to
There
get.
you go. He'll take care of you.
All
Thanks a
right.
lot, Tony.
All right.
See you
Have a
later.
great week.
You
Bye,
too.
everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Mm-hmm.